This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. This is Python's Paradise, your film and music show, and this is your host, Greg Gilbert, a.k.a. the Python Hyena. And folks, Anaconda is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. And you know, I saw that back when it came out in theaters, and I can't believe that much time has passed, because it just seems like yesterday I saw that with an audience. And my guest this evening was in that film, as well as the great David Lynch film, Mulholland Drive. We're going to talk about those among his other projects. Folks, I give you the gifted and talented Vincent Castellanos. Did I get that right?
You kind of did. It's Vincent Castellanos. Double L sounds like a Y, but you know, a lot of people say Castellanos, and I'm accustomed to it now.
Oh, well, you know, you're not the first name I've flubbed up on here, but everybody's been pretty gracious. So, so how you doing there? Is it nice weather there in California?
I'm good, actually. I'm in my house. I'm looking out the window. It's sunny and beautiful. It's about, right now it's 79 degrees, and it's just amazing.
Well, we got some sunny weather here too, you know, but I'll tell you, our winters are pretty harsh. We had a harsh winter here. We had a snowstorm so bad back in February that I come out to go to work the next day, and snow went up to the door locks on my car.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. I actually have been to Canada a couple of times, Vancouver and Toronto and Montreal, and I got stuck in a snowstorm in Toronto, and I actually went from the airport to somebody's house for 2 days, back to the airport, back to New York, just way back when I used to live in New York, and it was so cold and so frozen, I never saw Toronto. Yeah.
Well, it's actually colder here in the Maritimes, here in New Brunswick. So, yeah.
Well, I hope it's not cold today.
Huh?
I hope it's not cold today for you guys.
Why?
Well, you like the cold, or you like the...
No, we don't like the cold. Are you kidding me?
That's what I mean. I hope it's not cold for you guys.
Oh, okay. No. We got some warm weather coming in now. We got T-shirt season coming in here.
Wow, good.
Yeah. But, can you believe Anaconda celebrating its 20th anniversary? Can you believe that much time has passed?
You know, it's so funny because when I heard from you, that's when I realized that it was 20 years already, and I really, really can't believe it. I can't believe it. I was actually looking at pictures of myself from back in those days, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been 20 years. Mateo has been alive for 20 years now. And it feels like it was yesterday in a way, and then in another way, it feels like it was eons ago.
Yeah. You know, here's the thing with Anaconda. Like, I'm a member of the Golden Raspberry Award Foundation, the Razzies, and I could not believe that they went after Anaconda. Now, Anaconda didn't win any Razzies. Actually, The Postman with Kevin Costner took the beating that year, but I couldn't believe they went after Anaconda for nominations, because I think Anaconda, yes, it's corny and campy, but it's fun in its corny and campiness, because the audience, I saw it, had fun with it.
Yeah, you know, it's like when Anaconda came out 20 years ago, that whole thing of special effects and green screen and animatronics and all that was kind of like new to the business in a way, and so there was a lot of flaws in Anaconda, obviously. But to your point, absolutely true. It is a campy movie. It was never intended to be anything other than that, just like a really fun campy movie. And I have to tell you, even though the Razzies went after it, if you would have won, that would have been great too. I think any kind of attention is good attention, right? But what it's done for a fact is that it's made it a cult little classic, and it's been seen and released and followed and fans throughout the years.
Yeah.
It became this, like, it just got a life of its own. And so I'm very, very grateful, very happy. It didn't quite start my career, but it definitely put me in the map in a way that no other film had done before that. And so I'm forever grateful to Anaconda. We actually had, well, I'll speak for myself. I actually had the greatest time, the greatest experience. Being in Brazil for 8 weeks was unbelievable. It was just breathtaking and beautiful. And it changed my life.
I'll say this, though. Siskel and Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up. So that was one thing that really helped it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know any of this. I'm glad that they did. 2 thumbs up, it's like as good as it gets.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I review movies myself, and I like Anaconda. I thought Anaconda was fun. Like, there's so many moments in that film that were fun. Like everything from Jon Voight being spit out and winking at Jennifer Lopez, I mean, that was just a fun moment. Or that I love that shot where it's wrapping around Jon Voight, of course, who playing the villain of the film, and it's wrapping around him, and the mouth opens, and you can see from inside its mouth from the camera point of view as it lowers down around Jon Voight's head. And I'm like, stuff like that was so creative, and it makes the movie fun.
Absolutely. And like I said before, like it wasn't intended to be anything other than fun and to scare you a little bit, which it kind of like did in the way that Lucho cut it and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, to this day, I get stopped in the street and people still say great things about Anaconda.
Well, I love snakes. I'm a snake lover. My DJ name is Python, and actually my DJ name is a Python Hyena. They're my 2 favorite animals, but I always had a love for snakes. And so when Anaconda came out, I knew what kind of a threat an anaconda could be. They're the heaviest snake in the world. I believe they're the second longest to the reticulated python in Asia. Asia. Wow. And the anaconda, of course, I knew what kind of a threat that kind of snake can be. I know they eat crocodile and stuff like that that are in the Amazon, and when they get to be full size, they're something that you don't want to encounter. And just wondering, when you guys were in Brazil, did you actually see any live anaconda?
Yeah, absolutely. I am the total opposite of you. I am petrified of snakes. Absolutely petrified. And I have this kind of like thing about being in deep waters. So when I got this movie, I was like, okay, here we go. Snakes and deep water. Not only deep water, but the Black River in Brazil. So I was like, all right, the universe is trying to tell me something. So I went on and I did it. And we shot on location for 8 weeks, like I told you, in Brazil. And so we would go from the hotel in a boat off to the location, which was about 25, 30 minutes away from the hotel in the actual Rio Negro. And then we would, there was this place that we went for the first week, this location called Ariao, I think it's called the Ariao Monkey Reserve or something like that, or the Ariao Tower or something or other.
Okay.
Anyway, it was like a monkey sanctuary in the deep bowels of Brazil. And we would go there, and then we were having lunch one day, and there was supposed to be a picture taken of Danny Trejo, Jon Voight, and myself, because we were the snake poachers, holding on this anaconda. So they actually brought a real anaconda on the set for us to then carry and have our picture taken. So there were all kinds of handlers. And now, mind you, the handlers we're talking about are natives, right? They're Brazilian natives. This is like second nature to them. So they're like very comfortable, and it's almost like they control the snake.
Okay.
So they give it to us. We're holding it. John's in the middle. I'm in one end. Danny is on the other end. We're holding it. They start taking the picture, and all of a sudden, the anaconda starts to constrict, and it's so strong, it starts to pull Danny and I towards John. It was unbelievable. And so they wouldn't take the snake from us. We were like, okay, did you get your picture? We're done. We're ready. None of us, all of us were scared. none of us were like, hey, no, let's just do this. We were like, take the snake now. And then eventually they took it. But that was all I needed. I did not need any more of that. There was also, actually, you can see that photo. It's at the beginning of the movie. There's this. They do this nod to a newspaper clipping.
Yeah.
That I have in my boat, being the captain of the boat, Mateo. I have this clipping on the newspaper clipping, and that clipping is the picture of the three of us holding the snake.
That Jennifer Lopez eventually shows Jon Voight whenever they have him.
Exactly. That's how he's discovered, and also that picture was the three of us really holding a full-on real anaconda. And then the other thing they did, which I thought was kind of like, well, I hated it, but whatever. So there's a moment in the movie where there's a rain of snakes. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was 3/4 fake rubber Hollywood snakes and 1/3 real snakes.
You had a blast, right?
Oh, now, mind you, I'm supposed to play like the captain of the boat, this criminal, this delinquent, this tough guy who can do anything, who can whatever. These snakes start to fall down, and I'm like, are you kidding me? But, we have to act, right? We have to act. So I acted. And you could never, I don't think you can tell by watching me, but man, was I scared. Oof. I'm telling you. It was so many different creatures. Like when we would ride back on that boat, so we will be out there shooting from sunrise to sunset, and then on the way back, it was always like during sunset when the light was going down, and it was really gorgeous because we were in the Black River. There was all this vegetation on either side, and the sun was going down. And Jennifer, Eric, and I had this thing where we would always sit on the very top so that we could be outdoors and watch everything. Mm-hmm. Because the cloud formations and the colors in the sky were unlike anything I've ever seen before. None of us, and we were fascinated. It was like every night was a different show. And the vegetation on either side, all the greenery with just different plants and different colors, and it was just breathtaking. And you would see tribes walking alongside very peacefully. It was really otherworldly. Then, once we got to the dock to our hotel, which was in Manaus,
mm-hmm.
We would get off the boat. We would have to walk to the hotel, and there was this little path. Now, one of the ways in which we could walk to the hotel was through these trees, and on these trees were bats.
Okay.
Filled with bats. This was not part of the movie. This was never shot. This was not about anything other than the truth, the environment we were in. It was crazy. It was like we were in the jungle experiencing it for real.
Yes, and there's like jaguars and stuff like that. Yeah, there's lots of friendly creatures in the Amazon.
Yeah, and there's like, oh my God, and then there's like this. There's supposed to be this little fish, which is hair thin, and I'm gonna get the name wrong.
Oh, the piranha?
No,
they're there too.
Oh, the piranhas are there. I mean, they were fishing. Okay, so our dressing rooms was this yacht that was always on location, and we all had our own cabin. That was the dressing room because we were in the water on a barge the entire time shooting. So you couldn't go to land. So the dressing rooms were a yacht, and we each had our own cabin, blah, blah, blah. So on one side of the yacht, it was like fine and whatever. And on the other side, the natives would swim, or would actually fish for piranhas.
Okay.
It was insane. But there's this little hair-thin fish. It's called the ariaku, the andiaraku, the dariku, some weird name. I don't remember it right now. Maybe you guys can research it. But anyway, this little thing is attracted to orifices, and it just swims up. But it doesn't know how to swim back out in reverse. So what it does, this hair-thin fish, it's all thorns that are lying down as it's swimming forward. So when it gets stuck, it opens up the thorns, so it cuts right through whatever surface is in.
Okay.
So there were a couple of scenes where you see us in the water. Some of that was shot, or like the action stuff was shot at the Arboretum here in Los Angeles, but a lot of like jumping in the water and the walk that Ice Cube and John and I do to that boat. We actually did that walk in Brazil, in the actual Rio Negro, and they created this bridge underwater for us to walk on. Well, in order for us to do that, we had to put like a Band-Aid on the, I don't know if I could say this on the air, but on the head of our penis. We had to cover it with a Band-Aid.
Okay.
Then put our underwear on, then put a sweatsuit, and then put our jeans or whatever our costume was, just to make sure that that little fish didn't swim up our penis.
Okay.
Sorry, that was all. Maybe that was, you can't hear.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I've had people say worse. Go ahead. Yeah.
So that's the kind of environment we were in. That's the kind of excitement that we were in. It was fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah, and of course, you are the first on-screen kill in terms of seeing the Anaconda. We see, of course, at the beginning of the movie, that great moment with Danny Trejo, who I love that they didn't show the snake, and the snake's coming after him. He's shooting at it, and he goes up on that thing there, and I love the fact the camera acts as the snake, and it goes around him until it's facing him, and he's looking into the camera when he's really looking at the snake, and he puts a gun to his head and blows his brains out. That was a great opening for the film, and who better than Danny Trejo to open that movie?
Yeah, and I love Danny. He's not only a great actor, but he's also a great human being, and he was actually out there. He wasn't there for the entire time. He came out to do that part of that sequence, and he had a great time. And yes, he is the first to go. And I love that sequence at the opening of the movie because it really sets the tone for what you're about to see. I mean, at that point, you still don't have any of the camp. The camp happens right away when you see Jonathan Hyde and Kerry Wurr and Jennifer and Ice Cube and Eric, all of them coming into the barge, and you see them, and the silliness ensues. But up until that moment, that whole sequence with Danny Trejo is really, really, I think it's one of the best sequences in the movie, to say the truth.
Oh, yeah. Very, very well shot.
Yeah.
But then your character, Mateo, you become the first kill where we see the snake. And, of course, you're on the boat there with Jon Voight and I think Ice Cube, and then you kind of fall off the back, and when you get standing up there is the snake, and it lashes out to you, and that's the first time we get to see it wrapping around you, and of course it has its mouth agape, and it's coming closer and closer to you. What was it like to do that scene?
It was I'm having so much fun talking about this because I haven't talked about this in a million years, and it was such fun memories. So thank you, first of all.
No problem.
So that was shot in various sequences, right? So when I fall off the boat, that actual fall happened in Brazil. So I did fall into that Black River. And then so I fall in the water, and then I come out of the water. When I come out of the water, that's shot at the Arboretum here in L.A. And so a couple of things. One is I'd never done a stunt like that before.
Okay.
And I could have had a stunt double, but I said I want to try it first. So everything that you see is me. I did everything there. And so how that sequence, you want to know how the sequence was shot?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Tell me the whole process, yeah.
So the way the sequence was shot is like I was on this contraction that was built in the water. It was kind of like on a rail thing, like a railroad thing. And it was like a bicycle seat that I was sitting on in the water. And then I was strapped down so as not to fall off. And so I would sit in this thing, go all the way to the very end. Oh, and then I also had two sort of like snake coils wrapped around me. Those were rubber, and those were just there.
Okay.
So I fall back in the water because I have that. I'm able to do that from this little bicycle seat. And then when it comes up, it brings me up and then it spins me. So that thing is moving in the water. It's actually spinning me for real until I get to this thing. And then it's green screen. There is no real snake coming at me. At that point, I'm just reacting to this snake that's going to come on me and swallow me until they then put it in on CGI. But it was really exciting. Now, so then you realize that my head gets completely snapped.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So obviously they weren't going to snap my head if I had to live, because that's called acting. It's not called dying. So I had to go through are you ready? A 19-hour process.
Of
getting a prosthetic of my upper body, all the way to my right below my chest. So I did that before I went to Brazil. I did that. I totally forgot about it in a way. I went to Brazil. I came back, and so now we're going to use this prosthetic of me, and somebody, one of the special effects people came and got me on my dressing room and said, "Come here, I want to show you something." And he takes me to this van, and then he opens the back of the van, and there I am, completely costume, makeup, hair. It was like staring at myself, except now like my head is twisted and I'm dead. And it was so creepy to see myself dead. It's like, holy smoke, that's actually me. It looks just like me. It was really crazy. It was like, as a little boy, I don't know about anybody else, but as a little boy, I always fantasized and imagined what it would be like to work in Hollywood and magic and all of that stuff. And before Anaconda, I had shot The Crow, and there was a lot of magic there as well, a lot of special effects there as well. But for some reason, it was while shooting Anaconda that I really got to. It was almost like I went behind the curtain at Oz, right? And I was back there working with the wizard. I was then creating the magic that enthralled me and inspired me as a little boy in Cuba even to get into the film and become an actor and to do all of this magical things. And Anaconda was that first time where I was like, oh my God, I am part of this magic now. I can create this illusion for the world, for people to see. And it was just fun time. Really, really so grateful. Not everybody gets opportunities like this, and so I don't take that for granted for a second.
What did you think whenever you first watched the film at the premiere, or whenever you first saw it and you saw the finished product, like when the snake comes out and latches onto you and spins you around like that? What did you think?
Well, I'm very critical of my work, and I don't really necessarily love seeing myself on film. So there's that.
Okay.
But once I put that aside, I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny in parts. I thought it was weird. So we went to the premiere, and it was a lot of attention, and it was premieres, all that stuff or whatever. So I think that for me, the real first time seeing the movie was actually in Miami with my mother a week after the movie had come out. She couldn't come to the premiere, so I flew down to Miami where she lived to see the movie with her, and so we went to a movie theater, and I saw it for the first time, and I saw it with an audience, and when you see the premiere, every time one of us comes on screen, especially the first time, people cheer and whatever, and you kind of expect that because it's a premiere, but when you go to, let's say now you're in Miami, and you're in a theater with complete unknowns, and nobody knows you or nobody's seen you, and you're sitting there with your mom. And so every time I would come on the screen, girls would scream, and I thought that was really funny.
Okay.
And then when the snake got me, my mother started crying. She started crying, and then she would like hold my hand and kiss me, and kind of like I'm Cuban, so my mother's Cuban, so we're very dramatic, very like lively people. And she was just like, I was like, Mom, it's a movie. I'm here with you watching it. I know, but it's so hard to see you die. I really want you to die. I love you so much. It was phenomenal. It was hilarious. So then we leave the theater. We're leaving the theater now, and so we're like at the we're walking, and my mother sees this girl and her mother, I guess, looking at me, and she said to them, "Recognize him? Anaconda." And that started this thing where, like, my mother, every time I would go somewhere with her, she would like then be like, "You recognize him, right? He's an anaconda." And it became this whole thing. She was so proud, She was like, she had been such a supporter of me doing this thing from the age of 5, and she was just so proud of me, and that this was this one big vehicle out there. And so again, more fond memories of this Anaconda movie.
Here's a question I always had about Anaconda. Of course, the villain of the film, Paul Sharon, I think his name was played by Jon Voight. And I never quite...
Sharon.
Oh, Sharon, okay. He gets on the boat, and of course he was connected to Trejo, who goes at the beginning of the film, and connected with you. But they never go back for you whenever your character is killed off. When Mateo is killed off, he says, Mateo is gone. It's almost like he wanted you to disappear. Now, do you think there was nothing written in the screenplay or no indication on screen, but was there a little dissension there between Paul and Mateo, do you think?
No, so that, yes. So what happens is that I'm in cahoots with Jon Voight's character, Paul Sharon.
Okay.
And what we really want to do is get money from these people, right? And then he kills. I'm not really a killer. Mateo's not really a killer. He's just like a drunk who wants to, have sex and drink, and he's a nasty piece of work, but he's not a killer.
Yeah.
And so when that thing happens with the Eric Stoltz character,
okay,
I realized that this is not going the way we planned. And so if you go back and look at it now, there's a couple of scenes where there's glances between the Jon Voight character and my character, Mateo, and then remember when he pulls that knife on my neck and he kind of threatens me a little bit, kidding, but...
Yeah.
And what was supposed to be happening is that I become to get suspicious of him, and so he feels that I'm going to betray him. So rather than betray him and ruin his scheme, he's going to get rid of me. So he knows the snake is there, and he lets me fall and doesn't come back after me on purpose.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Jon Voight was fantastic in the film. Like, I remember him way back, like Midnight Cowboy, and of course Academy Award winner for Coming Home, and Jon Voight's very, very good. I liked him in this movie a lot. I think he played a terrific villain, and it's so like the eye wink scene, where he spewed out the anaconda's mouth, like. He was just a terrific villain in the film. What was he like to work with?
Well, he was great. The reason I became an actor and studying acting is because I saw Coming Home, and I was like a dancer and doing like little musical theater. And then I saw his performance in Coming Home, and I thought, I want to learn how to do that. So that's when I really began to study acting. And so now, many years later, I'm on the set of Anaconda, and there he is in my dressing room, and he's sharing stories about being on Broadway, doing The Sound of Music with Mary Martin, and he's sharing all these stories with me, and I'm telling him stories. So we bonded right away. So then there was that guy, right? And this is before we started shooting. Then we get on set. By the time we get on set, he is now in costume, and he is now in character. And so he never once broke that Paul Cerrone character the entire time we were in Brazil, so as to create this kind of like method intimidation with all of us. And to tell you the truth, once I saw the finished product, I thought, oh my God, I get it now. I know exactly what he did and why he did it and why Lucho, the director, did it this way with him. But when we were working, we were all kind of like, well, I just speak for myself. I was kind of wondering, like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
What is this overacting weird thing, this dissonant musical note in this otherwise perfect symphony? And it wasn't until I saw the movie that it was like, oh, I get it. Totally get it. And he kind of like makes the movie. He kind of like makes the movie what it is. And he does an amazing performance. And it's a great experience. But it was I wouldn't say it was challenging to work with him, but it was interesting. It was a different experience.
Yes, and of course Jennifer Lopez, of course, became a pretty big name.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like working with her?
She was amazing. She and I became best friends for a very long time. I think it was the Latino connection. I think that her being Puerto Rican and me being Cuban and us being in Brazil was really great. And we would play Latin music and dance, when we got to the hotel over at the cafeteria with Eric, and we would sometimes dance in our little yacht boat, and we just had a great time, and we really, really connected. And then we kind of grew that friendship for many years, and I've lost touch with her, but she's a great friend to me, and she has a very special place in my heart. She is an amazing woman, and I love what she's done with her career. She is by far, and I know this for a fact, one of the hardest working people in Hollywood, definitely one of the hardest working actors in Hollywood. She is a woman that would take on anything and not stop until she perfects it. And I mean, it's evident in her body of work and the progression of her talent and the expansion of her talent. She's just on fire and very well deserved. I love her very much.
She's going to have to work really, really hard to get rid of Gilly, though.
Yeah, everybody has that in their career.
That's just a sore thumb, isn't it? For her and Ben Affleck both.
But is it really a sore thumb? You know what I mean? It's like it's work that you've done. Now the difference between doing a bad movie in Hollywood and sort of like making mistakes in your career along the way when you're not in the public eye is that nobody's talking about the mistakes you've made. But to think that nobody makes mistakes is ludicrous.
Mm-hmm.
We all have bad movies and bad TV shows and bad performances and bad roles and things that we wish we could take back. But isn't that part of the whole journey?
Yeah.
And, how do we know what to improve if we don't make mistakes? If there are no bad performances, how do you know what to work on? How do you know how to become better? Everybody has them.
Yeah, I love J-Lo and Anaconda, though. I'd say she was a terrific heroine, and of course Ice Cube in this movie before he played the police commissioner in 22 Jump Street. Here he was on board the boat. He's had quite a career both musically, and he was really good in this as well.
Yeah. It was like, they put together a really, really cool group of actors. One that I'm really proud of, and one that made it really easy to be so far away from home for 8 weeks, because we were in Manaus and there was really nothing there except for this hotel, which was extremely chic and comfortable and 5-star, and just like it was amazing. But we were in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. So it was like it's a good thing that we all got along. And Jennifer, Eric, and I, however, really did bond, and we just did everything together. That was really great. But we all really had a good time.
Yeah, Eric Stoltz spent quite a bit of that movie laid up after he had the accident in the film.
Yeah. we kept saying he kept saying that he had the best job in the whole movie.
Yeah.
He got one of the biggest paychecks, and they did less work than most of us. It's like fantastic for him.
I found that funny that he spent so much of the film laid up. I was like, it's like it was funny because he had more name recognition than most of you at that time.
Absolutely. The only people actually that had a name in that movie when the movie was shot was obviously Jon Voight, who at that point, I don't know if you remember, this was his comeback vehicle.
Yeah.
He had been gone for a while. He did Money Train with Eric Roberts, and then he did Anaconda. These were his comeback films. And then Eric Stoltz, who at the time was kind of like the name. Owen Wilson had just done a movie called Bottle Rocket, I think it was called.
Yeah.
And so he was like sort of like starting to sound, but not yet. And then the rest of us were all unknowns.
Yeah, Owen Wilson's really blossomed to come, especially comedically. And it's kind of funny seeing him get chewed up by that snake.
Yeah.
And his face outlined in its body there when it swims by the camera.
Yeah, exactly. He was so much fun, though. He's such a talented guy. He is hilarious. He can't help it. He is just naturally funny. He's amazing.
Yeah. And of course, Jonathan Hyde, it was really good. Had that great scene behind the waterfall where he takes a jump and that snake just catches him in its mouth there. And
midair.
Yeah. Of course, he was, the stuck up uptight guy. Of course, he starts to unwind a little bit, but as the movie goes on.
Yeah, he also, again, really fun guy. I never knew him. I didn't know anything about him, and so we met there, and also a nice guy.
Well,
very talented as well.
You'd think he would have been able to do this because, after all, he was the hunter in Jumanji.
Right. Was Jumanji before or after?
Oh, yeah, it was before. It was 2 years before. I was like, gee, he should be able to handle that snake. He's in the board game.
Exactly, right?
And then, of course, Carrie Wurr was also in this as well, and I really liked her. And of course, the snake didn't necessarily get her. She had a very painful death in a very different way.
I forget how she died. How does she? Oh, the panther?
No, Jon Voight.
Kills her.
With his legs, because he's got his hands tied behind his back, and he makes that threat to her when she has a knife on him. She wants to kill him because it was his fault that Owen Wilson was killed, her boyfriend, and he sticks his legs up on her neck and he brings her down and he snaps her neck. You don't remember that?
No, I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. It made Jon Voight's character look all the more vicious because even though he was confined, he was still lethally dangerous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which makes it whenever he gets his at the end when the snake gets him, it makes it all the more fun. I think Jon Voight, again, I can't get past that wink, that was just a great moment, and the audience just went for that.
That was genius. That's all Lucho. I mean, John loved to improvise, but Lucho's very smart in capturing the right improvisation moments.
Yeah. Was Jennifer Lopez ready for the wink, or did she know that was going to happen?
I don't know. I actually wasn't there when that happened, so I just saw it in the film. So I don't know. She probably wasn't, because he loved to surprise us. Like that thing with the knife when he puts the knife to my throat.
Mm-hmm.
That was not in the script, and we never rehearsed that. And it was a real knife, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I thought
stuff like that.
Yeah, I thought Anaconda. Yeah.
He insisted on using a real knife because he really wanted to cut up the fish for real.
Oh, okay.
Which, fine, makes sense. And so then he pulled it on me, which got my attention for sure. And so you got it on film, which is great. So I'm grateful.
Well, I enjoyed Anaconda. Of course, it's celebrating its 20th anniversary, and a lot of fun, that film. You were also in another film that celebrated its 15th anniversary last year, and I was trying to find somebody to come on here last year about it, and I couldn't locate anybody. And it wasn't until I was looking up stuff on you for this interview, I was like, holy cow, you were in that film, Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's my favorite David Lynch film.
Oh,
And
a lot of people say that. Yeah.
I remember it didn't come to our theater, but we have a film society down here at the university, and I'm going to tell you, that was in 2001. There was a lot of junk playing that year at the theater, like Pearl Harbor, for example. Freddie Got Fingered. And I could name all kinds that I wish I did not invest in. The Film Society was playing such gems as Amelie and Mulholland Drive and Gosford Park. And, oh, man, those were great films to watch. And I remember seeing Mulholland Drive, and I was just taken with it. And I did not quite grasp the film when I first saw it, but it didn't matter because I knew I was going to go back and watch it again and try to piece together the bizarre. I'm told that half of the movie is a dream and half of it's reality.
Right. So a couple of things. If you ask David what the movie is about, what he'd say to you is, what is it about for you? And then you'd say, like, well, I think that blah, blah, blah. And then he'd say to you, that's what the movie is about. David will never explain his work. He won't explain his work to us when he's working with us, which is, I love that about him. He allows you to then make it your own and make it be your truth. So he wants to do that with the audiences as well. He's doing that with Twin Peaks right now, which, by the way, just aired Sunday. Today's Tuesday. Sunday on Showtime. But the Twin Peaks 25 years later. But anyway, so in Mulholland Drive was shot originally as a pilot for ABC, a 2-hour pilot for ABC. And in the pilot, I was cast as Joe, the guy with the black book, or Ed, the guy with the black book.
Yeah.
Joe or Ed, I don't remember the name. And so my character in the pilot is the guy who that black book holds the information of the connection between these two women. Mm-hmm. So in the process of this 13-episode series, it would be revealed. The movie, the plot would be revealed in a very Lynch way. But ABC didn't pick up the pilot, held on to it, had the rights to it for 14 months, and then gave it back to David. When they did, David decided to recut the pilot and make it into a film. I think he had a couple of pickup shots. Most of the characters in the pilot were cut off for some lack of, whatever. One of my scenes was kept, and so there's the story of Mulholland Drive. But what doesn't happen is that he doesn't really resolve it for you. It's almost like the movie is open-ended in a way.
Yeah. And of course, like Anaconda, you one thing that you have in common with Anaconda in this film, I think you know where I'm going with. Yeah. Breathing becomes a problem. But yeah. But I mean, you had that great scene. I haven't watched it. I've got it home on Blu-ray, but it's like I hadn't watched it in a while. And I totally thought, oh, you're in that movie, and I remembered your scene. Yeah. It was a really fun scene because of what happens with the bullet and goes through. It's David is such an. I just last year worked with him again. First of all, I want to say he's one of the most loyal film directors in Hollywood. If he works with you, and first of all, he writes for you. It's not like when you audition for David, it's not like a regular audition where there's a movie script and here's your scene and you come up and you do the scene, or you're being interviewed for a specific character or whatever. With David, it's very different. You meet with him, or Joanna Ray, the casting director, puts you on tape just having a conversation about anything, nothing related to the project because you have no information on the project. David either sees the tape or has actually met with you in person,
and then he either writes for you or he doesn't. But that's how he does it. Now, once he writes for you, or in my experience, once he wrote for me, he then always works with you. So he wrote me a small part in Twin Peaks, the new Twin Peaks as well. Mm-hmm. And that's who he is. That's the kind of guy he is. He treats filmmaking kind of like regional theater companies do, where you have a group of actors a pool that you work with and that you pull from, and it's really nice. It's really great thing. I mean, it's wonderful for us actors knowing that if you work with a director once, chances are that he'll work with you again. And I love working with him. He's just nutty and creative. His process is unlike anybody else's process.
Oh, I think he's a fantastic director. And like I said, I didn't quite get Mulholland Drive when I first saw it down at the university. And I was like, yeah, but I want to see it again. And I still love that movie. Like I said, got home on Blu-ray. And I know I reached out to Laura Elaine Herring last year for an interview, and I know she read it because it was on Facebook, but because it was indicated that she read it, but never heard back. So I was like, yeah, they got to the point where I kind of gave up on that, but I thought that she and Naomi Watts was brilliant in the film, and yeah, seeing those two women, they played off each other really well. And I know you didn't have I know you didn't have scenes with them, but I really liked their work in the film, especially the paranoia element. There's a part in the movie, to me, the scariest parts is like when they're both asleep in the bed, and you can hear Laura talking in her sleep, and it's so creepy,
Yeah, David just creepy like nobody's sister.
Oh yeah, it's like you can hear her say, well, I forget now what she's saying now, but and Naomi Watts wakes up, and all these weird things like that camera falling down and it's the black box on the floor, and all the imagery, and the cowboy, whether you see him twice or not, and Justin Theroux, so many great things in this movie. And I know you were only in that one little bit in the movie, but what are your thoughts on other stuff in the movie? Is there anything that just stood out to you, just made an impression on you, like a favorite scene or anything like that?
Yeah, the thing with the majority of David's movies, and definitely in Mulholland Drive, what gets my attention always is David's way of introducing and exposing characters.
Yeah.
And I'm always fascinated with the characters as they pop into the screen, because they're always different. Yeah. And it's always like each character in itself, if you really look at them, they're their own movie.
Yeah.
So I'm always lost in the characters that he writes and creates, and the actors that he chooses. Like I said, he chooses a pool of actors in Hollywood that is very specific. And so I'm fascinated by that. I thought Naomi Watts in this, well, both of them, but I thought Naomi in this thing was just breathtaking.
Yes.
I thought her work here was so transparent and powerful, and brings a different level of sort of like believability to the movie. Like, she makes it real. She's the character that suddenly it's no longer a character in a movie. She's almost like an audience member that fell into the film.
Yep.
And so she takes on that role. And I think it's almost like what, in a way, what Jon Voight did in Anaconda is what Naomi Watts does in Mulholland Drive. It's a dissonant, different performance that then makes sense for the entire piece.
Yeah, boy, does I'm not going to give away what happens with her in the movie, but boy, that her last scene in the movie was just freaky. It's like I love that kind of creativity. David Lynch, I think, I can't believe he has not won an Academy Award. He's been nominated, I think, 3 times, including for Mulholland Drive. But I wish that he had done that. He'd do more movies, but they don't get really what wide release. Like Mulholland Drive, I had to see it at the Film Society, and I think it was one of the best films to come out in 2001.
He did get a wide release here in the States. It was like a big cult hit, and he ran for a while. And he also did win the Best Director in Cannes last year for that movie. So he did get that kind of recognition. If you think about David, he's not a guy who's doing mainstream Hollywood movies, and he's not interested in doing that. So that's not what he does. So it'll be challenging. I'll be very surprised if he ever got. I mean, I'm sure he'll get like a lifetime achievement award, but for him to get a traditional Oscar, I would be pleasantly surprised. I mean, I of course vote for him, and he's like, of course, the best. He should. I think he definitely should. But it's different. Hollywood's a different world.
Yeah, well, I love Mulholland Drive, and like I said, glad to have you on here to talk about that film. What a great movie. Just the imagery in that movie, I love directors who can be creative. I see movies all the time where special effects overtake a movie. I like how David Lynch uses imagery to help enhance a story.
Exactly.
And he did it ever since. What's that?
I got to put in a plug for Showtime's Twin Peaks that started last Sunday because, in my humble opinion, it's David's best work.
Okay.
If you're a David Lynch fan, you owe it to yourself to start watching Twin Peaks on Showtime. It is bizarre beyond comprehension, and it is Lynch at his best.
Okay.
Yeah. Totally plugging it because it's fantastic. I mean, I don't know how many Twin Peaks fans are out there, but if you like Twin Peaks the first time, trust me, 25 years later would blow your mind. Blow your mind.
Well, you know what? His movies are popular here in town. Like everything from Eraserhead, Blue Velvet, definitely, and of course
The Elephant Man. The
Elephant Man.
Movie.
Mulholland Drive, he's done so many great movies. And Twin Peaks, definitely, So, 25 years later, and Twin Peaks has started back up again. So, some great stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
You got some other films listed here that I got to ask you about, too, though.
Okay.
You did a movie. This one I hadn't heard of until I looked you up, but I got to ask about it. Is Eulogy. Is that how you say it?
Eulogy.
Eulogy. Okay, sorry. You got to work with the beautiful Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah, everybody was in that movie. I'll tell you a story about that movie.
Okay, please.
I've never seen it.
Oh, I haven't either. Oh, well, what do you do in the movie?
I play this porn star gym owner.
Okay.
And I should see it. I should watch it wherever it is. I don't even know where it is. It's one of those things where it was, I got to a point where they would give me some, I got to a point where I would get it just like, you want to do this, go do it, and sometimes we do things just because it's a paycheck. And I'm not putting the movie down because I've never seen it. But what I'm saying is that was one of those, I did like 2 or 3 of those where I just went, did my work, left, and that was it. And that was one of those. And I don't know what happened to it. I don't know anything about it.
Did you work with Zooey Deschanel in your scene?
No, it was Hank Azaria.
Oh, okay.
And oh my God, who was the girl? Deborah Winger was in the scene. There was a girl. Who was the girl? Oh, see, I feel so bad for this, for not remembering the actress. But yeah.
Okay. No, I have not seen this film either, but I saw it on your list there. I was like, Zoe Deschanel. She's always pretty hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, you were in Street King.
Oh yeah, that was really fun. That was King Richard. That was Richard III, the Shakespeare play, kind of like done in an urban way with the gangs here in East LA. And that was just a lot of fun.
And of course, Primary Suspect.
That was great. That was my sort of like co-lead with Billy Baldwin, and we shot that in Utah. Funny story about that.
Sure.
I was up so I had done my interview for Mulholland Drive, which I really didn't even know the name of it yet. It was a David Lynch project. And David had sent a message saying, Joanna Ray had called and said, David is writing for Vincent. So we knew that. And so then I got this other movie. And so we kind of passed on it because David is writing for Vincent. And when David Lynch is writing for you, you pass on everything else.
Yeah.
So, but he wouldn't tell us if it was a recurring role or a regular role or one day or what it was. And he wouldn't say, and we kept holding and going to them and coming back, no answer. So we decided to go ahead and pass and then to take Primary Suspect. So I take Primary Suspect. I fly to I fly to Utah.
Yep.
Utah. I land in Utah, get to my hotel. There's a message from my manager. David just got back to us. You have 7 out of 13 episodes, a recurring role. He definitely wants you. So now I'm in conflict because I'm starting this picture for a month, and David Lynch is saying, oh, I want Vincent. So, again, indicative of David. David gets what he wants and makes it work no matter what. So I was shooting the movie in Utah. On my days off in the movie, the ABC jet, this happened twice because I think I did like 4 or 5 scenes in the pilot of Mulholland Drive. The jet from ABC would fly to Utah, pick me up. I would fly to LA, work for a day, get back on the plane, and go back to the movie in Utah. So I was shooting Mulholland Drive and Primary Suspect at the same time. It was my most Hollywood experience.
Okay. Wow. Well, I'm glad you get to do Mulholland Drive, but
oh God, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, you did of course the Crow City of Angels, where you play a spider monkey. I think your name of your character was.
Spider Monkey. That was the movie that brought me to Hollywood. I had been in New York doing theater. I did some work in Carlito's Way, but I got cut out.
Okay.
But the movie that brought me to Hollywood was I got cast in the Crow City of Angels, which is the second Crow, and I was flown out here for 3 months. And once I got out here, I was like, I was received really well, and they were like, we're going to get you work. You just need to be here. And so that's how I ended up moving to LA. And then right after that, I was about to go back to New York, and I went to I'll never forget. It was Mindy Marin casting Anaconda. I get to the casting call. It was raining. I had like 98, 99, or 100 fever. I had a high fever. I had a cold. I got to the audition. It was raining. It was in Santa Monica. I get there, and it's me, and it's all these like older character actors, nothing to do with me. I called my manager. I'm like, this is not going to be for me. I feel like shit. I feel like crap. I got to go. I'm going to go. And she was like, no, just wait. I'll have Mindy take you in until you're sick. Sure enough, I stay. I go in, and it ends up being that I got the film, and it's the film that changed my life.
Yeah, the first Crow had that unfortunate situation with Brandon Lee, unfortunate his death.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. I have nothing to do with that first one.
No.
I wasn't there with any of that happened. Vincent Perez played the Crow in the Crow City of Angels.
Yeah. And of course, you were also in Master of Disguise with Dana Carvey.
With Dana Carvey, and that was really fun. That was also a small role, and it was just crazy fun, very chaotic, easy, fun. Nobody was hiring me to do comedy, and then they did, and so I was like happy to do that.
What was it like working with Dana?
He's great. You know, he played like 20 characters in this movie, so he was always on character, whatever that character was. And he's a really sweet man, and he's a real actor's actor. You know what I mean? Like he's not a star. He's an actor. He's actually the guy who's out there doing the work and showing up and like doing the takes and doing your take with you and really working on it and rehearsing it and doing it again and doing it one way and doing it another way. So it's very refreshing to work with him. Same as Jim Belushi when we did K911.
Oh, yeah.
I just ran into him at the premiere on Friday for Twin Peaks because he's in that as well.
Okay.
And we were talking about K911. That was the first time that I actually did improv because he comes from the world of improv. And I got hired to do K911, and it was a 2-page scene. And I got on set, and Jim Belushi and I started improvising, and it ended up being this like super long sequence. And he encouraged me to do that, and he kind of like he didn't teach me, but he was like, I was like, yeah, you can do this, and here are the rules, and let's just play. And we had a blast. We had a blast.
Yeah, and of course, going back to Master of Disguise, unfortunately, that film kind of, in a way, hurt Dana Carvey's career because it did do well, but yet he kind of has this very humble disposition about him, because, he still has Wayne's World and other successful projects, but he has a very sense of normalcy to him, despite all these outlandish characters.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, I have a lot of comedian friends, and I know that world well. And it takes so much out of you to be on and create at that level that on your personal life, most of them are really quiet and subdued and just humble and simple people because they let it all out there.
Yeah. And, of course, Jim Belushi. Did he ever relate any stories about John?
No. We never talked about his brother, no.
No. Yeah, he was, of course, the brother of the late, great John Belushi. And I always felt bad that when they did a sequel to the Blues Brothers, I wish they could have they were able to bring him in to be in. I know there was talks that he was supposed to be in it, and I think the sequel suffered because they weren't able to get him in, because I think it would have been good to have the younger Belushi in there after the unfortunate death of his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So you got Twin Peaks, a TV show coming up, and you say you got a recurring part in that show?
Yeah, I have a couple of episodes there. We're waiting to see which ones because we don't, with David, you never know. You just you watch and there you are. So I'm excited. I really loved it. I love doing it. I love watching it on Friday. Friday at the premiere, they show the first 2 episodes, which is what aired on Sunday already in Showtime. This coming Sunday, you'll get episodes 3 and 4, and then the subsequent Sundays, it'll just be 1-hour episodes for 18 episodes. So I hope you guys watch, and I hope you guys like it. If that's your genre and you like that kind of work and you're a David Lynch fan, trust me, this is so Lynchy. This is him. This is him at his best.
Fantastic. And yeah, well, I'm really, really glad that's working out for you. I'm glad you're back in the David Lynch world again. And you got, I know you have a Facebook. Do you have any web page or anything like that, or any charities you want to promote on here?
I have an Instagram that I love for you guys to follow me on is Castellanos 61. So it's Castellanos 61. That's my Instagram. But also, if you just put my name, Vincent Castellanos, you'll be able to find me. And follow me on Instagram. It's really, if it's really the best, the closer, the greatest way, the more inside of me that you'll get, because I'm kind of like facing out of Facebook in a way.
Okay.
Not there too much, but on Instagram, there's a lot more of me there, and I'm a lot more revealing and daring there than I am on Facebook. So feel free to follow me there.
I actually don't have an Instagram account. I've never.
You need to get one. You need to get one. It'll be so much fun, and then you need to start following the people that you like, and you'll see it's like a whole other world, and I like it better because it's less words, and it's much more of an impact. I've become like an Instagram junkie versus Facebook for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I usually find a lot of my interviewees on Facebook, you know. I was off Facebook for a while, and then I came back once I got my first interview in 2015. I was like, well, Facebook has become useful for me again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And listen, I'm still on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I'm not, you can follow me on Facebook. Fantastic if you like, but Instagram is the one for me.
Absolutely. Well, Vincent, it has been so awesome having you come on here tonight and talk about Mulholland Drive and Twin Peaks and the 20th anniversary of Anaconda. And it was you're the first person I've ever reached out to that I message, and you got right back to me every time I messaged you. Sometimes, you know, it's frustrating when you're waiting for people to respond to you, you know, when you need to book time at the studio, but you can't do it from your house. And, you know, and you were really great at getting back to me, and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much. You know, I wish I could take credit for that, but those are my parents, you know.
Okay.
They taught me well. You know, thank you for thinking of me and reaching out to me and giving me the opportunity to reminisce and talk about a little bit of my career. And very, very grateful. I wish you luck. I know your program would be a great success. I hope your listeners enjoy a little bit of this. And follow me on Instagram, vcastellanos61.
Absolutely. Before you go, could I get you to do a plug for my show?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Just state your name and say you're listening to my show's called Python's Paradise. Python like the snake.
Uh-huh.
Say you're listening to Python's Paradise with Greg Gilbert.
Greg Gilbert.
Yeah. In New Brunswick, Canada.
New Brunswick.
Yep.
Canada. Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, shoot.
This is Vincent Castellanos listening to Python's Paradise with Greg Gilbert from New Brunswick, Canada.
Thank you so much, Vincent. Again, the 20th anniversary of Anaconda. Check it out. Watch Vincent have fun in the water, which he didn't have in real life. Fun with that snake. And, of course, check out Mulholland Drive with, I think, David Lynch, one of his very, very best. And, of course, check out Twin Peaks. That's going to be this summer, right? Oh, no, it started now, huh?
Yeah, it started already. Showtime. It'll be on Showtime forever now, yeah.
Perfect. Well, you know what? I'll try to get this out as early as I can, but be patient with me on that. But if you do need it out at Pacific time, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Right now, you can reach me on Facebook. Just don't hesitate to reach out to me. Okay?
Great, thank you, Greg. And if you can do it like around July, August, that'd be great. And then just give me a heads up when you do.
I'll do that. I'll definitely do that. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
God bless you, man. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.